Welcome in Sports Talk at the stadium. Phil Kornblut at Death Valley at Clemson on a beautiful Saturday afternoon where the Tigers come away big winners over Appalachian State 41-10 to improve their record to 2-0 on the young season. It was a slow start for the Tigers as they only led 3-0 after a quarter. Deshaun Watson got off to a stumbling start throwing an interception on his third pass of the day. But then he got red hot and finished with some very good numbers. But what really got the Tigers started, an interception return for a touchdown by defensive lineman Carlos Watkins early in the second quarter. The Tiger defense was smothering Appalachian State all game long, and they went on to provide a couple of more interceptions to the offense, and the offense took advantage of that. And then Deshaun Watson, as I mentioned, he heated up and hit pretty much everything he threw down the field, and he had some very nice throws. Sharon Peake came up big today, one of the best games of his career, if not the best. He had 2 touchdown catches, including a beautiful 59-yard strike from Watson, who just seemed like he just flipped the wrist and the ball took off like a missile and landed in Peake's hands in the end zone. Artavis Scott had a 41-yard touchdown reception. The Tigers had a bevy of big plays. Besides those two, they had a 23-yard touchdown run by Wayne Gallman. They had a 24-yard touchdown reception by Peake. And they also had the 15-yard interception return for a touchdown by Watkins. So it was a day of big plays for the Tiger offense and the Tiger defense. Offensively, the Tigers didn't run the ball all that well today. Now, Appalachian State's a pretty good team, and they're going to beat a lot of people. And they play some physical football up front, and they really challenge you with their defensive backs coming up near the line of scrimmage. So they had a bunch of guys in the box, and they did a pretty good job against the Clemson running game today. The Tigers only had 140 yards on the ground, with Gallman leading the way with 79 yards. So that has to be a little bit of a concern to the Clemson offensive coaches. Watson finished 19 of 26, 248 yards, 3 touchdowns, and that 1 interception. Scott led the way with 6 receptions for 73 yards. Peake had 4 for 86, and the 2 touchdowns. Now, the Tiger defense pretty much dominated Appalachian State all day long. The Tigers led 38-0, and then Appalachian State was able to put a field goal on the board and later a touchdown. State did rush for 203 yards. A lot of that coming after the game was pretty much settled. On offense, however, their outstanding quarterback, Taylor Lamb, he was harassed all day long by Clemson, was only 9 of 28 with 3 interceptions and 95 yards and just a 27-yard touchdown pass late in the ball game. So defensively, the Tigers have just picked up where they left off last year. I don't see any backup whatsoever. Going into the season, I thought there might be because of all the players they lost from last year's team, but that has not been the case so far. Carlos Watkins played big today. The defensive backs covered the Appalachian State receivers extremely well. They got pressure off the corners from the defensive ends. Shaq Lawson in particular had another solid game today. And then they're getting good play from Scott Pagano and Christian Wilkins coming in and getting a lot of snaps. The linebackers continue to look good with Goodson and Boulware in particular. So the defense has not backed up one iota so far from last year. Now, they haven't really faced an offense that matches up with them at this level. They'll get that on Thursday night against Louisville, and then we'll really see what the Tigers' defense is all about. But see no reason not to believe that Clemson can't have a good defensive outing against Louisville. Offensively, again, passing game was extremely good. Running game needs to pick it up. The offensive line seemed to have its struggles early in the game. Ryan Norton came out, looked like he might have re-injured the knee a little bit. Jay Guillermo went in. Some of the snaps were very shaky. On one play, Guillermo had a bad snap that got by Watson, who went back and recovered the ball, and a defender fell on him. It looked like he might have hurt his shoulder, but he said afterwards he just had the wind knocked out of him, but he had to come out for a play. Then he went right back in. But there was a little bit of uneasiness about the offensive line in the first quarter. They did settle in a little bit as the game went on and gave Watson plenty of time to throw the ball, but didn't do all that much in the running game. So that's something that needs to be addressed. Also, the Tigers kickoff defense had its issues today, too. Appalachian, they had a number of kickoffs to return, but they were able to break some nice returns against Clemson's defensive coverage there. So the Tigers will have to address that this week as well. No major injuries coming out of this game for Clemson, so that's good news moving forward. It's a short week for them, right back to work on Sunday in preparation for Louisville, a 7:30 kickoff in Louisville on Thursday night. But the good news today for Clemson, a big win over Appalachian State, 41-10. Tigers have now won 29 in a row against non-ranked opponents, and their current overall winning streak is now at 5, and they go 5-0 all time against Appalachian State. Appalachian State has a 7-game winning streak snapped with this loss today. We've got more on the game right here at sportstalksc.com. You can hear from the Tiger coaches and players from the locker room. Tomorrow, Sunday afternoon, Dabo Sweeney's conference call. We'll have that for you. And, of course, we'll pick right back up on things Monday night, looking ahead to Louisville on Sports Talk at 6:06. Thanks for joining us here. Sports Talk at the Stadium from Death Valley. Have a good weekend.